On behalf of AI-Media and EEG, I'm very happy to welcome you to the NAB Virtual Event Webinar Series. I'm excited to introduce Tony Abraham, CEO of AI-Media, and Phil McLaughlin, CEO of EEG. Tony?
Thanks very much, Regina. My name's Tony Abrahams. I'm the co-founder and CEO of AI-Media, and I'm devastated that we can't all be together at NAB in person this year, but we've tried to do the next best thing, which is to make all of our great content available to all of you virtually. And I'm delighted to be joined by a person who's very well known to almost all of you, I'm sure, the CEO of EEG, Phil McLaughlin. Phil, how are you?
Very good, Tony. Glad to be with you.
And I think one thing that's obviously changed since the last time we appeared at NAB is that AI-Media and EEG have joined forces. And Phil, after running that business, for 25 odd years, what had you decide to join forces with AI-Media? I guess two questions: why now, and why AI-Media?
This has been very heavy on my mind the last couple of years as to where the company that's built this level of excellence and momentum in the U.S. market, where we can move from here. And the two things that happened is that we are finding that we needed more international exposure as a company, and we also, with our movement into captioning services, with our Lexi automatic captioning product, we had become a significant service provider in the U.S. market. And from that standpoint, for the last 5 years, we've had the pleasure of dealing with AI-Media as a trusted partner, a partner with customers in both the U.S., Canada, and all around the world. And what we thought would happen here, which is very much coming to fruition now, is that we could, join together with AI-Media, where we can combine our products, where we have almost no overlap, but a tremendous amount of compatibility with these products. And we could bring these products both to the U.S. market, products and services, I should say, both the U.S. market and around the world.
And I think also what we've been able to offer that's been really compelling, only in the last few months, we only completed this acquisition in May, is really offering that true one-stop shop right around the world, where we're offering both the fully automated captioning through EEG's leading Lexi system, the traditional premium quality captioning that AI-Media is known for many, many years, delivering accuracy of over 99.5%. But also there's this really interesting spot in the middle, isn't it, with Smart Lexi, that both AI-Media had invented, kind of moving down from a premium, and that you'd moved into by moving up from Lexi, and it's this happy place that we meet with Smart Lexi. So hopefully there's something for everyone in this great product suite. So Phil, thanks very much for joining us, and Regina, I'll hand back to you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony and Phil. If you would like to hear about any of these topics or products in more detail, please join us for the NAB Virtual Event Webinar Series. We look forward to having you join us. So thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Ask Us Anything About Captioning. This is the second webinar of EEG and AI-Media's NAB Virtual Event Webinar Series. My name is Regina Valenskaya, and I'm the marketing lead at EEG. With me on this webinar are panelists from EEG and AI-Media. We have Bill McLaughlin, Phil Hyssong, Jared Janssen, and Matt Mello. Today, this panel will be answering your questions about captioning. We've already received many questions from people who have signed up for this event, and if there are any questions that you would like us to answer, please submit them in the Q&A tool at the bottom of your Zoom window. With that, I'm now going to welcome our featured speakers to kick off Ask Us Anything About Captioning. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Regina.
Hi.
I appreciate the welcome here. Hi, Bill. Hi, Jared. Hi, Phil. We're happy to start answering questions for you guys, and I do see that we have a ton of them rolling in as we get started here. So let's just get right into the first question, which is, what are the different types of captioning? So the different types of captioning, well, I take this as, how do you display captions and how would captions be presented on a video? So the two different types that I think of immediately are closed captions, which means that the viewer at home can enable or disable as they want to, or open captions, which means that it's actually part of the video itself and that it can't be turned on or off. That's my take on it. Does anyone else have thoughts on what different types of closed captioning there are?
Sure. I mean, you could talk about recorded versus live, and whether essentially a live caption is you're going to use someone, a stenographer, a re-speaker, a skilled real-time transcriptionist, or else real-time automatic captioning, compared to when you have, clips or programs, anything sitcom, anything that's pre-prepared, right? And then the captions a lot of times will be kind of held up to a somewhat different quality standard. You can really get all of the timing and, positioning, speaker labels, everything kind of exactly right. It's like a video editing process compared to live captioning, where typically it's mostly just the verbal content, maybe some music or simple sound effect indicators, and it typically scrolls through without being blocks of captions.
I'm going to take it just a little bit simpler, you guys. I'm going to say that there's good captions and there's bad captions. And, I think that, we've kind of discussed a number of different display types and uses, and you guys have done an excellent job on that. And I want to say that I think that there are really just about as many different types of captioning as there are programs, right? I mean, it really becomes an individualized process. And that's one of the things that's kind of cool about Ai-Media and EEG, in my opinion, is that, when we work with the consumer, we talk with them about what their program is and what they need. And so we solve that specific problem. So there's good captions, bad captions, and they're all displayed in any number of formats. Good job, guys.
All right, thanks, guys. Next question that we have here is, how do I choose between human and automatic captioning? That's a very good question. And obviously, so there's two very different types of captioning as far as, how the captions can be generated. You can get them by a human sitting there listening to the audio and creating the captions like that, or with an automatic speech engine, like we do have Lexi as our speech recognition service. So how you choose between them, I don't know. This kind of seems like maybe it start off with Bill here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to look at. I mean, you're going to see, a basic angle. I'm a technical guy. I'll say a basic angle is you might want to take a quantitative angle. What is the accuracy of the captions in both cases? You could use a simple metric like a word accuracy rate, or a more complicated one like NER, which kind of conveys a little bit more whether the meaning of something is preserved. NER is often a little bit friendlier to captions that are paraphrased, but that are extremely clear in their meaning. Whereas, a word accuracy rate is just verbatim. What was said is what's typed. So that's part of it, is the quantitative angle, and it bears to measure that can be very specific to a specific kind of content. How many speakers you have, what they sound like, how they're mic'd, what they're talking about, how fast they're talking. These things can make a pretty large difference. And then there's questions about budget and your audience expectations that kind of need to be balanced with, trying to get a certain result, trying to measure that result, and trying to make sure that it's something that fits in your overall goals. How much material do you have where audiences could benefit from captioning? And, what's the budget right now? Realistically, everyone operates under some constraints. And, sometimes one of the most important things is getting as much material captioned as possible. So, I think all of those can be factors.
I'll actually add into there, the budget is one element, but also time frame too. Events come up last minute. Perhaps a premium, human delivery is preferred, but we only have an hour out, 2 hours out. So the amount of lead time it can play a factor too into choosing, human delivery versus ASR as well.
Yeah, and I could even answer that and say that with something like a human captioner, you might have to schedule that beforehand. Where with ASR, you can kind of just start and stop it as you need it. But that kind of comes with the negative of you have to start and stop it as you need it rather than having someone do it for you. So again, there's pros and cons to each, and there's differences between the two. But you can kind of choose between the two as you need to, luckily. Okay, so the next question that we have here is, how do I caption Microsoft Teams meetings? This has been a large discussion within EEG AI-Media as of recently, because I think this is actually a new development for all of us that, before I think there was only the option to do Microsoft's built-in auto captions. But now we've been working with them recently. Someone probably has more input on this than I do. I think, Bill, you've been working pretty directly with Microsoft on this project, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, our product team was asked to help pilot the solution with Microsoft and have some of the accessibility experts in our company really look at what they've done and look at the formatting. And so, that was an honor, and it's allowed us to kind of get some advanced work on the solution, which I think has only been rolling out to Microsoft accounts within the past month. You do need to make sure it's enabled through the administrators of your Teams account. I don't believe it's enabled by default yet, but essentially once it's enabled, it works similar to cart features that you might be familiar with already in Zoom or in YouTube, where you can post the captions either through EEG Falcon or through some other software integrations directly from a real-time captioner, and they'll show up embedded in the screen. And, to talk a little bit more about the human versus automatic issue, you can see through Microsoft, putting a considerable investment into wanting to do this, that there really are a lot of customers out there that, are looking for solutions both ways. That Microsoft Teams has had an automatic captioning feature. That automatic caption feature is often quite good, but it doesn't have a lot of flexibility to customize. It isn't always as good as a client wants it to be. And, they listened to the user feedback and said, we should give customers an opportunity to put in a higher quality caption option than this out of the box option. And, to their credit, I think it looks really good. And it's certainly something we can help you with.
Yeah, it's a very new, exciting development from all of us. This is very new. So, up until now, we haven't been able to integrate with Teams. So this is definitely new for us also.
And if you have a platform that you can't put the captioning built in on, it's interesting to note, if people haven't used that then a solution like AI Live can be used as kind of a sidecar. And at that point, it's not quite as optimal, because you're looking at two different windows, one for the main meeting and a separate browser window for viewing the caption transcript. But the caption transcript in AI Live is very resizable. You can choose how much history you want to view. So it is a pretty good caption experience. It's just outside the box of a meeting platform that doesn't support a built-in card option.
Phil, this is Phil. What we're talking about here with Teams is very similar to what we have going on right now in Zoom, correct? I'm watching the captions in Zoom, and AI-Media and EEG have created an interface here so that we're able to see the live captioning directly in our Zoom meeting. It's just like what we're watching today, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And Teams now supports that in a very similar way.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so the next question that we have here is, do you have or are you creating an application to work live with Zoom? So my understanding is that we do actually have this existing already. I think that captioners can tap directly into a Zoom chat and caption directly in it as is. But EEG also has a solution for this also with our Falcon encoder, where it can listen into the audio in a Zoom meeting and create captions to put in there too. Phil, do you have some thoughts on this maybe?
Well, that's what I had just said, Matt. That's what I was thinking, that we had this solution already in place, and obviously we do. I was just trying to point that out for those who are watching, that if you click on the caption button at the bottom of your screen and view them, you can see how the interface is already working. And I think, kind of just picking up on what Bill has already said, if you know, there's a lot of platforms out there. And so we have been working at building interfaces with integration processes with different platforms. So if someone who is a part of our webinar today has a particular platform that they would like to see us integrate with, by all means, let us know that. And we can certainly look into, can't promise that because everybody has to cooperate in that process. But we can certainly look at providing that service.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always looking to get everybody accessible as much as possible. So integrating with these platforms is a huge step towards that goal. All right. So the next question is, I want the ability to add English, Spanish, and Japanese to my live streams, and can you help? So, I mean, yeah, that's a fair question. So we do have the ability to do that so in somewhat of a roundabout way, and it does require a little bit of manipulation with your stream, as far as, you know, the endpoint and how you can get the feed into a stream as well. So we do have, you know, our Falcon solution does allow you to encode captions in up to 4 or 6 languages, depending on your workflow. English and Spanish being pretty much the most primary way of the easiest way to do that, but Japanese does become a little bit more technical. Bill, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, the hard part is the Japanese language in the proposed workflow, because the English and Spanish, you're going to be able to use Falcon to embed captions in an RTMP stream and pass that through to any platform that supports embedded captions, or you'd be able to do it with a hardware encoder too, and then, you know, an SDI to streaming media converter, you know, Elemental, for example, or other products like that. So the English and Spanish is going to be simple. What's hard about the Japanese is that the embedded caption standards really only support English and other European character languages. So some, you know, like Latin character alphabet, some accent characters like you'd see in Spanish, French, German, etc. But they don't support East Asian, South Asian, Middle East, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So to really get captions in those languages, you need to not use the embedded caption option, which is the most interoperable option. But we can do it either in open captions in Falcon, which means a language overlaid on the screen that all the viewers will see, as opposed to a CC button. Or we can do it by originating a direct HLS stream, which you can put in your player, and that'll actually support up to 6 languages, which really can be any world language. And you'll be able to see that in a player, and it's just not going to be transmitted through to, say, a third-party platform like YouTube, Facebook, etc. So, you know, that's what Matt refers to, I think, with the complexity a little bit, that you might be looking at having one platform that would be a primary platform for social and for, you know, for VOD in the future, and, you know, different kinds of applications like that, and a secondary platform would be, hey, here's a link where you could see a whole array of other languages. And we provide machine translation into Japanese, or we can provide human interpreter services out of our APAC services team in, you know, Australia and Asia. So yeah, there are definitely some options for how to get the transcript and how to get it to the viewers. You're going to have a really easy time with multi-language in English and European languages. You might have to think a little bit harder to go outside those character sets, but it certainly can be done.
Yeah, like what Bill was saying, it's a little bit tricky sometimes with the non-European character set, but it certainly can be done, you know, if you're willing to work with a different workflow that maybe is, you know, the kind of the standard right now.
Yeah, all right. And Matt, actually, I'll add on really quickly. You know, we do events that can really vary in complexity. You know, to add multiple languages to an event, you know, if it's English audio, you can add Spanish and Japanese machine translated languages pretty easily. You know, where we have seen some more complex events is where, you know, perhaps human captioning in different languages is preferred. And, you know, as opposed to machine translation. You know, we had one come up recently where, you know, Russian was requested and they did not want machine translation. So we, you know, solution for, you know, Russian audio interpretation as an alternative. So really we have, you know, we can solution and we can, you know, provide options, whether it's human delivered, whether it's machine translation, whether it's audio interpretation. You know, we can really come together depending on your platform and depending on preferences, you know, to really make something accessible on the multi-language front.
And Matt, I'm gonna jump in on that and share as well that one of the things that has made Ai-Media successful at this, many folks know we have a pretty extensive division of our company in Europe and provide for a lot of languages there. And we've developed, we kind of call it some of our secret sauce a bit in how to combine human captions, human captioning, and machine translation to provide a very accurate foreign language output. So in some cases where the machine translation is not sufficient, we use human captioners and are able to provide a translation then that is accurately translated. So again, problem solving, listening to what the customer wants, what the customer needs, and then being able to build solutions that provide for effective service.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Everything that everybody said is perfectly accurate. That's all great input. We are a solutions company, so if you come to us with any, you know, anything that you might need for your events or whatever it is that you're trying to caption, we're more than willing to work with you to figure out, you know, what the solution could be. So with that, let's go into the next question, which is how accurate are your automatic captioning products? So this actually ties in kind of nicely to the last question too, relating to, you know, translation. So EEG's automatic captioning product is called Lexi, and that will take essentially the source language that's being spoken and turn that into caption data. We generally quote that around, you know, anywhere from 96 to 98% accurate, excuse me. Just kind of depending on the quality of the audio that's being received, as well as how clear the speaker is, things like that will kind of determine the accuracy of, you know, Lexi. And then you also have our iCap Translate products, which is an automatic process as well. And that can, again, is just going to vary depending on what essentially the source language captioning is that's being created from. So it does vary quite a bit, and it's, you know, it's a topic that's often discussed because that's like the #1 question with automatic captioning is how accurate is it compared to a human? It's getting there, and it's an active work in progress. I'm sure that there's plenty of thoughts on this from the rest of the panel here too.
Yeah, I would almost turn the question around in a way and say, like, you know, where would we recommend using automatic captioning? And I would say that, you know, from our experience with customer subjective experience, the discussion starts when you can hit maybe 90%, and to really get high satisfaction, you want to be more in kind of the middle 90s, you know, in a 94, 95, 96 or higher kind of range. And that can really depend a lot on what kind of programming you're looking at. We're in that place for news content. We're in that place for a lot of, you know, kind of pretty polished corporate business video conferences, presentations, you know, that kind of content for a lot of styles of, you know, town meetings and that type of content, you know, for something like, you know, if you were trying to live caption, you know, dance contest or an action adventure movie, I don't think you'd get there. And that's really the challenge of the question, because quite frankly, in the entire universe of video content, you can use the same product and see a range of accuracy that the ceiling might be 98% and the floor is going to be almost zero. You can find a video that has occasional kind of shouted dialogue interspersed with all kinds of music and other activities, and the accuracy is just going to be close to zero. So there's no single number that really, I think, defines the product across all use cases, but where you want to be is in that low to mid 90s range, and that's going to be when you get a good result. And for live captioning, if you're in the mid to high 90s range, that's for live to air, that's about the best you're going to do with any method.
Yeah, absolutely. So that actually looks like it ties into the next question well also, which is, what is the difference between Lexi and Smart Lexi? So I'm actually going to toss this one over to Jared, if he feels like he can answer this, maybe.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And Tony and Phil, touched on this in the beginning video a little bit with Smart Lexi being really that middle offering. But Lexi has been around for a bit, and it's a wonderful product. It has great applications. And it's self-service. Lexi is self-service, where Smart Lexi, that's full service. And it's a recent rollout from AI-Media and EEG. And really what Smart Lexi is it adds that layer of dictionary creation, that human curation, where just like any event where we love to get prep, we love to get PowerPoints, agendas, speaker names, acronyms, anything we can get our hands on. We love to have that for a really high quality output. And so with Smart Lexi, it goes to our team of experts to curate those dictionaries, to then apply that to the captioning output. And our team can deliver Smart Lexi, whether it's an AI-Media Falcon account, whether it's a client, encoder or Falcon account. Really Smart Lexi falls into that full service where we can deliver that next layer in a a full service way.
Yeah, and it comes into a question of where if you want more accuracy on automatic caption, where are you losing the accuracy? And if it's something having to do with things like the specific topics being discussed, the names of people and places that are kind of specialized in your content, that's where you're really going to see the advantage of that extra layer of kind of preparation and curation and model building. For example, issues like background noise is Smart Lexi, so far not going to do that much for you in that area, but anything that involves the specialized vocabulary, it can really do a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely falls right in the middle ground between the premium human captioning service and then our Lexi service as kind of, the middle ground where they both meet. So definitely it's a new offering from all of us, and it's something that we're looking forward to rolling out and, getting in the market. So next question is, what is the best and simplest way to add live captioning to Facebook Live and YouTube when live streaming from StreamYard? So I'm actually not too familiar with StreamYard as a whole, but as long as you can stream from StreamYard to Facebook Live and YouTube regularly, you can add Falcon there as a middleman. And Falcon essentially allows you to add live captioning and embed it into the stream, as closed caption data. So that would probably be my suggestion. Falcon is definitely the kind of the go-to for our streaming products without any additional hardware needed there.
Yeah, and to look at where Falcon fits in that workflow, you'd really, out of a StreamYard is a production studio kind of that can put out an RTMP output. It's in the cloud, but Oh, cool. It's in the cloud, but not so different from, I think, what's shown here is Wirecast, which would be a tool that runs on your own computer. But basically, you take sources, you get an RTMP stream on the output, and that RTMP stream goes to Falcon, where you meet the captions. And then Falcon can actually do the same type of multiple destinations feature that the original streaming encoders could do. So, you would send one output from your studio to Falcon, and then Falcon would put in the captions and address those to both Facebook and YouTube if you're streaming to Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, and to keep that on the diagram too. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it essentially this would split into two here, and that you could do Facebook and YouTube at the same time from Falcon. So
right, and that's free with the Falcon license. Like each channel gives you one caption stream and you can actually put that same caption stream to as many RTMP output sources destinations as you want.
Right. Okay, so next question is, we have a lot of videos on Vimeo that are embedded into our LMS. What is the best way to get these captioned? I'm not familiar with the acronym LMS.
I think it's a learning management system.
So would this be like a post-production type of setting, I'm guessing then?
Well, it would, I'm seeing like pre-recorded videos, I'm imagining on the Vimeo platform. And right, you have you have one of these systems like Coursera or something like that, where, essentially the videos go into, are embedded with, lecture notes and slides and quizzes and almost anything else you could imagine in some of the platforms. But so probably the key would be getting it integrated through Vimeo. And we quote batches. We have a recorded media services department that will add captions into videos on almost any platform. With a lot of the platforms, we have integrations where if you have a specific way of labeling which videos you want or want to use the API to send them to us, we can actually find those videos and kind of self-download them out of your account with your permission through the integration. But basically, those would get captioned, and you have a variety of kind of quality and turnaround time options on the recorded media. And the captions will be either delivered back to you through our web platform or through an email, or, in some cases, and I don't know if Phil or Jared knows this, I'm not sure if we're directly integrated into Vimeo for delivery. A number of web platforms we are. If we're not directly integrated for delivery, it just means you're going to receive a caption file, like a VTT style file is the most common one, and then you would upload that, kind of into the ingest system for Vimeo or the other platform if it's not a complete end-to-end integration.
Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you. Next question is, do you offer live stream ASR captions that can be fed to a live stream CDN like Vimeo or IBM as CEA 608 closed captions? Is live stream ASR captioning available as an online service that doesn't require the purchase of hardware? I mean, this sounds like a perfect pitch for our Falcon product, essentially, which is, a cloud encoding option that would allow you to add live captions to your live stream, essentially where you would just be sending your live stream from, a source like OBS or any video live streaming source in RTMP to our cloud service, which hosts Falcon. And then you can add live closed captioning from any source of, closed caption creation, which could be a live human captioner or AI through, Lexi. So yeah, this is a softball for essentially for our Falcon product. So yes, the answer is yes.
And it's worth noting, that's the encoding capability and the live captioning capability are sold separately. Don't worry too much, both very affordable, but they're sold separately, so you can use Falcon with human captioning as well interchangeably. And the Falcon channel is billed on a monthly basis as like a subscription channel, whereas the Lexi service is, is billed hourly only when you use it. So, you would have a mix of the two costs. And if you ever wanted to mix in kind of more traditional steno captioner options, you could do that with Falcon as well.
Next question is, we're hosting an in-person event that must be accessible for all attendees. Some will attend at the venue and others will tune in virtually. Do you have a product that would work for everybody who joins? Again, the answer here is yes, but there are a multitude of different ways of achieving this. Anyone who wants to tune in virtually, we have a variety of solutions for adding closed captions, in any format. The question that comes in then is, of course, the attendees part and the people sitting in room. We do have hardware options that would allow you to display just the closed captioning in the room. And that same closed captioning could then be used also for the live stream. But again, there's different ways of achieving this. So it would kind of be a solutions type thing where you could come to us and say, here's what we have, here's what we're looking to do. And we'll say, here's the solutions that we have. Jared, do you have any thoughts on that maybe?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So, really what we're looking at is a hybrid event. And in the COVID environment, we're seeing this be, a more common occurrence. And we have, a full advanced events team that really is specialized to handle these types of conferences or events, and we're seeing, what maybe used to be a large in-conference event, scaled down in size and have a bigger virtual presence. And sometimes that could be a week later. It could happen concurrently as well. But our advanced events team, works to, whether it's on-site captioners or ASL versus remote, really it kind of goes back to that solutions where it depends on, what platform you're going to use, what is the event set up on site, and really just working to find that balance, whether it's hardware, whether it's IP or really just, it could be as simple as an iframe that works. So really it's just, working to solution based on the overall scope of that particular event or conference.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jared. Okay, next question that we have is, in which languages do you provide captioning? So this is a very, very broad question. And again, it's going to take, it would take a very specific scenario to give you a very solid answer. But we do provide live closed captioning in most languages. Again, just sort of depending on what you're looking to do with this event and like the workflow and where you're decoding the captions and all of that type of stuff. But the answer is a lot of them and kind of depending on what you're looking to do.
Yeah, and there are some technological distinctions. Again, what kind of alphabets you're looking for in the captions, whether it's something that works in traditional embedded or television captions, or whether it's a language that wouldn't work in those, but you're looking for a different streaming solution. And as you said, you can use open captions, you can use AI Live, you can use Falcon with the HLS stream, and then in terms of the services, we can leverage. We have a few different providers to leverage machine translation in. I think the number is over 100 different languages, and that's probably more than we can offer human interpreter resources in. But honestly, with enough notice, there is we have a pretty global web of, employees, freelancers, even subcontractors, and, given a reasonable amount of notice for an event, you'd probably be surprised, how many languages we could actually support with humans as well.
Yeah, and even sorry, Matt. So even on the on-demand side too, after if it doesn't work for live, we do have a lot of options after post-event where we could do a Portuguese SRT file, a Spanish SRT file. So we have live availability, and then the on-demand side as well that can be open to just a number of languages that maybe don't work for that live setting.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that I'm seeing with the joining of Ai-Media and EEG is that we have solutions for pretty much everything closed captioning related now. So like pretty much no matter what the inquiry is, we have some division or department that's able to handle it, even if I'm not directly. You know what I mean? So it's been a really cool joining of forces. So a lot of languages. So next question here is, sometimes what's spoken isn't captioned correctly. How can I solve this issue? That's a great question, and I'm sure that that's a pain point for a lot of people. And the answer again is going to depend on where were these closed captions created? How are they generated? Was it a human? Was it AI? It kind of just depends. And the answer is sort of live closed captioning is going to have its faults at some point because of the limitations of it being a live closed caption. There's not so much time to correct it and make it look good before sending it out for live air. So sometimes that may or may not happen. But the lucky part is that you can fix this sometimes by having the prep work that I think Jared was touching on before, having the prep work of actually telling your captioner, if it's a human, what they should be expecting to hear, what the topic of discussion is, or maybe some keywords or places nearby beforehand, so that they have an idea of what they should be listening for. And if they hear that, to put it out on in the captioning. And the same thing goes for Lexi and smart Lexi as well. You can kind of train it beforehand, or tell the person that you're coordinating with the smart Lexi beforehand, so that when that word pops up, Lexi is more likely to get it correct more oftentimes than not, just by hearing the phonetic, how you would spell it out and how it should be pronounced and all of that. So that would be the one way that I would say you could fix it, is to kind of train beforehand and kind of have some prep work put into the process.
Yeah, nothing's perfect, but you want to get best possible results. And if it's more of a Zoom meeting or classroom or other, what I'll kind of call a amateur presentation, as opposed to something that's kind of all been set up by audio professionals, it's important not to neglect the factors that, use an external microphone, have it a good distance from your mouth, step a little bit farther away from the air conditioner, try to enunciate, these things sound silly, but in a lot of environments those are pain points for the captioning, and they can make a difference.
Next question is, I am a CART provider and coordinator for a university. Everyone got used to excellent audio with remote classes. As we transition to in-person learning, what audio options do you recommend to continue providing the best experience? So that actually kind of ties into what Bill just said pretty nicely. I think as far as the microphone things goes, and having a good quality audio setup is probably a good way to get the audio out to everybody in a the best manner possible, and also out to the captioner so that they can hear clearly. Phil or Jared, do you have any thoughts on best experience for audio practices?
Yeah, Matt, I think that actually you and Bill really answered that quite well in the last statement. I think that it's a refresher to professors. It is, talk with your captioning provider about the microphone that's being used, and you need to kind of set some expectations within the class. One of the beauties of Zoom was the fact that, as the person writing this had said, excellent audio, but you could hear everyone via Zoom. Everyone has the option of kind of miking in. And when you're in a typical classroom, there's a student in the back corner of the classroom that asks a question. And if the professor is the only one with a microphone, then it's going to be really tough to hear that question. So it really is simply a matter of re-educating our professors to restate questions, to speak clearly, to not put their lavalier microphone underneath their jewelry or underneath their tie, but rather keep it exposed, keep it where their mouth is, that kind of thing. And but there are just limitations with that kind of situation. We just have to work with them.
And I'll even add to internet speeds. Are you on Wi-Fi? How's your Wi-Fi strength? Are you going to have buffering? Do you get is the audio cutting in and out? Or are you directly hooked into really nice fast internet? So there's a lot of little things that kind of come into the greater equation, like everybody touched on, to make your audio and really experience in the classroom the best it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Next question we have here is, we provide live captions for in-person and virtual college related events. We'd like more information on the possibility of toggling captioning between live captioner and automatic captioning solutions. Yeah, so I mean, this comes down to, our encoding solutions, EEG's encoding solutions do always allow you to select between either or. You're not limited to just, automatic or human, just depending. So yeah, I mean, that's a great question, but there is options for either. Phil, do you have a comment on that?
You know what, I do, Matt, because we just are launching right now a study on the use of ASR in classrooms, and is this a good idea? Is this something that schools are interested in, and so forth? Because what we're seeing within, what we're seeing within industry is people are being given choices, and that's what I'm hearing in this question. Is we want to have the choice of which direction we want to go for what event. And so we are actively looking at creating solutions at Ai-Media, EEG, so that consumers and users can say, hey, I want ASR for this. Hey, I want a live captioner for this event. I need high-level services for this event. We want to be able to give people options so that they can easily kind of toggle through, if you will, what they need in any given situation. So we're on this. I don't know if this individual is obviously related to a college. If they'd like to be part of the testing, to please let Regina know that. We're looking for some test cases that we can kind of practice with to develop the best practice concept. And I'd be happy to talk with them further.
Yeah, and it's important to note too that we do currently have solutions for in-person and virtual college events. Like there's definitely ways that you could do this right now. We're just looking to make it the most seamless process possible. So, if you need something like next week, feel free to reach out to us and we can get something set up. But then there's also the long term of how we can make this seamless for everybody going forward too. Yeah, so thank you, Phil. How can I time multilingual captions in the original source language, then simply drop the translation in its place without having to retime? I think this is a little bit out of my scope of normal questions. Bill, do you have an answer for this one?
Well, it kind of looks like we've got a recorded media process, and let's say we have captions in one language, and how would we get those translated and kind of do that in a do-it-yourself workflow? So I know we will provide that as a services workflow. Typically there's one rate for original language captions, and you might have to pay a second rate to also have it translated. If you already had the original language captions, you wouldn't have to pay for a fresh transcription. So to get it done as a service, you would definitely have a savings there. If the question's kind of looking more for a tool, I don't know that I'd have a tool in our line that I could really specifically recommend for this case. The scribe editor from the EEG product line is a like a post-production recorded clip caption editor that installs on a Windows desktop. You can use it to edit captions. You could preserve the original timing, but to thread that through a translation process, it would definitely depend, where is an operator sitting down and translating this kind of off the top of their head, or is there an automatic translation process going through? So yeah, there's some options you could take with this, but of course, as happens with a lot of things when you're changing caption files, it can unfortunately chew up your time a lot more quickly than you were hoping.
Thank you, Bill. Can users add their own content-specific vocabulary to both Lexi and Smart Lexi? That is a great question. So that is kind of what we were touching on before with the differences between Lexi and Smart Lexi. Lexi does allow you to import, your own words and places and proper nouns and whatever it may be into its dictionary so that it's more likely to get it correct when it hears that word being said. And where Smart Lexi fits in is that's essentially being a part of a managed service that Ai-Media and EEG are now handling as part of the managed process. So it does take some of the load off of, whoever may be of managing that before. We can offer that as part of the process. So let's see, the next question is, could you please discuss inserting captions as 608/708 data into live video for TV/OTT/online streaming? So inserting caption data as 608/708 data is essentially what EEG's bread and butter is. It's what we've been doing, for the last 30 odd years. So that's kind of the specialty of where our encoding solutions lie, is adding captions as, closed caption data, 608/708. Now, in terms of adding it as for TV, OTT, and online video, those are all solutions that we have, kind of dedicated options for, and ones that are more geared towards others. Like, for example, for TV, I'd probably suggest one of our hardware encoding solutions like the HD492. For OTT is, for IP video, MPEG transport stream, things like that. That's our Alta solution. So that's a more recent encoding option that we've added. And then online streaming, you could do that with any of the encoders that we have, just, depending on the workflow as a whole. But our Falcon solution is kind of perfect for online streaming without any additional hardware required. So yeah, we have options for all of these, and 608/708 is kind of the specialty and kind of what we do. So the next question we have is, what are the best microphones/configurations for cart writers in classroom, lecture, or group discussion environments? What are tips for maximizing these experiences? I'm not personally familiar on the microphone options. Is anyone here? Does anyone have a good discussion on this?
I do not at this point. I'd be more than happy to research that and find out, Matt, but I'm sorry, I am not.
I think we already covered a lot of it. And I mean, I don't know that I have a personal review for kind of like a brand name or a specific product, but, typically, I mean, I think you do want something like a lav or lapel mic, that would, something that'll clip to your vest or something like that. I mean, I say vest, who wears vest, but, clip to your shirt, and, you're going to want is not rubbing against your body or something like that, a reasonable distance from your mouth, check the audio on that. If you're bringing it into your computer, make sure the level isn't into the clipping range and isn't like all the way down from 0 to 1, but is in kind of the healthy middle of the range while you're speaking at a normal voice level, and for example, if you're speaking in front of an audience, you have to consider also that, you don't want to test the mic at one level when you're whispering and then kind of go up in front of the room and speak at a completely different level and really project. And then your test isn't a very realistic test. So, basic realistic test is going to help at setting the level. And, a good mic is a little bit more, directional in terms of it doesn't pick up as much ambient sound from around you, but it's still good to be conscious what's around you, something like moving away from a fan or an air conditioner or anything that, a server rack, anything that makes a bunch of humming noise like that. A little bit of distance from that can make a pretty big difference. So I think those are the basic things that you'd want somebody to know kind of in 1 minute or less.
All right, so it looks like that was our last question that we had today. Thanks everyone for putting in their questions, and I'm going to pass it back to Regina.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks all for participating. And thank you everybody for joining us today for Ask Us Anything About Captioning. We did receive a lot of questions, so if we didn't get to yours, we will follow up with you soon after the webinar. And if you have any questions and would like to get in touch, please reach out to sales@eegent.com or sales@ai-media.tv. And thank you again to everybody who joined us today, and we hope to see you at our next event.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And these are always a lot of fun. So thanks for coming and thanks for bringing the questions.